technology. All righty, I want to see your chat. Okay. And here we go. Maybe. Okay. As Sarah said, I'm Kim Butler from Steamboat HR Solutions. I'm so happy to be here with you guys this morning. What I love about my job now is that I get to focus on helping employees enjoy their work more, enjoy their workplace more, be more efficient, be more productive. And what's especially meaningful to me is I see those ripple effects through the community, through the families. So such important work to me. Love to hear from you. If I can support you in any way, leadership, innovation, employee engagement, staff training, all things that I just love to do. So part of why we're here today, as Sarah mentioned, it's been a crazy few months, right? So this is a sheet from the Society for Human Resource Management Professionals, just talking about this new world of work and what's happening post and in the middle of still COVID-19. Obviously, lots of work from home changes, lots of policy changes, being flexible. But what I want to draw your attention to is on the bottom left corner, that orange 63% saying 63% say the changes are having a positive impact on their culture, which I would say is pretty amazing considering all the additional stress and fear that people are going through. And even below that, that 36% believe the changes are improving employee productivity. Win-win, right? So let's talk about how this is going to show up today in our lives, in our workplaces. Why culture and why now? Culture is arguably one of the most important factors in your workplace. It's happening whether you're paying attention to it or not. So it is absolutely worth your attention and worth your time investment. And I fully understand that you are very busy people with so many things demanding your time and attention. Why now? Even though it might seem like, boy, there's so many changes happening right now, there's so much going on, it also poses an incredible opportunity. If you already have to make a change because a regulation has changed, employees are having different concerns, you're having to change the workplaces, why not be intentional about it instead of reactive? So take that moment, pause and say, okay, we have to make this change. So how can we make it to best serve our employees and best serve where we're trying to go? So there's so much opportunity, even though there's a lot of chaos and other things going on too. So our plan for the next probably 45 minutes, we're going to talk about a couple different workplace culture models. We are going to give you all some time to think about what your workplace truly looks like and what you would like it to look like as far as culture. And we're going to talk just a little bit about employee engagement, which is really a whole nother mountain of fun things. So when we talk about culture, I feel like sometimes it's kind of an enigma. There's so many pieces that make it up. But really, if we think about it just as how people interact with each other and how they treat each other in the workplace can help solidify it a little bit. Cultures are wildly different in different organizations, right? You might hear things like family friendly, it's aggressive, it's technology focused, we're risk takers, it's hierarchical, we focus a lot on processes, it's super fun, right? So this conversation is not about finding one culture, the right culture, right? This is all about finding whatever culture is the right one for your organization, for your employees, for where you want to take your group. So when you think of culture, think about your employees and you, right? Make hundreds of decisions every day, even your frontline employee waiting on the customer or creating a product, whatever they're doing. They make hundreds of tiny decisions all day. So think of culture as what's behind that decision-making process. So you're not going to be there, right, for them to ask every single question to, and that would make you nuts. So the culture, the values, all of those things, the habits that you see in your workplace, that's what's going to fuel those decisions. So you can see, making sure that you have some idea what's going to come out of those decisions would be very beneficial. So you make sure you all are in sync. Culture absolutely influences recruiting. If you have a great employee who has to leave, let's say they have to move or something, they can be your great a great recruiter for you. They walk away and say, oh yes, absolutely go work for this company. The culture is super caring. I got to do what I love to do. They train me, right? Whatever is important to them. If your culture is really, if you really have an effective, positive culture, even those employees that you usher out that aren't the right fit for your organization, they can still be great recruiters for you. If you leave on those good of terms, they can still walk out the door and turn around and say, you know, it wasn't the right place for me, but it had this going on and this going on. And this person really did a good job coaching me and it just wasn't right for me, but it might be great for you. Customer loyalty. I know we have a small community on the small picture and on the huge picture. There are a lot of us who choose to spend our dollars, choose to shop at stores that treat their their employees well, and vice versa. You hear about a business that's not treating their employees well, paying them minimum wage, whatever, not paying overtime, doing sketchy things. There are plenty of people who will stop shopping at that organization as well. And again, if your employees are happy, they're probably talking about your business and your organization even in their private life. So that's a little bit of free marketing for you too. Culture obviously helps employee turnover. The more people can be connected, feel like they're bringing their best selves to work, and feel like they are valued, hopefully the longer the right ones will stick around. And productivity, same conversation as turnover. Employees are engaged, they're having fun, they're bringing their passion to work, their productivity is going to increase as well. Okay, now you guys have to do the work, okay? So our culture is, I want you to just take a breath, calm for a second, and be honest with yourself. This is only for you. Nobody's going to see it, but I challenge you to leave the ego, leave the, oh, what if someone hears this, and be sincere, because you can't move forward unless you know exactly where you're at, and only you can do that. So just take a minute, jot something down for yourself. Our culture is what? A couple words, a sentence. I'm going to be quiet for a minute and let you think. And most likely you have great parts of your culture, and there's probably a few things that could use a little tweak. So again, it's all about helping you get where you want to be. So we're going to talk about a couple of just common culture models. The first one is a learning-centered culture. Like Sarah said, please feel free to type in the chat. I miss seeing all of you in person and hearing from you and learning from all of you, because you all bring so much knowledge and experience to these events. So learning-centered culture, obviously they love to learn, right? But think farther back into the culture. What are some things that are making them successful in this? Like being able to challenge each other, right? Being able to ask questions. Not only that, but having the skills to do so safely, right? Having the skills to confront your boss and work something out. Having the skills to bring your idea forward in a group, whether you are the big, loud, outspoken one or you are the quieter, more reserved one. Making sure that as a facilitator or a teacher, that you're making space for all of those different people to bring their ideas forward. So anything else you think about this learning-centered culture, feel free to type in the chat, and as we move through the rest as well. I know there's a lot of very small organizations out there, it might be one or two people. So you're going, I can't afford to send my employee to training. That's okay. I understand that. It's not all about the paid training. Although obviously in a culture like this, there is that probably more of those opportunities for training, paid trainings, workshops, maybe tuition reimbursement, something like that. Think about what doesn't cost money. So where's the mentoring? And maybe it's not with, like, if your organization has 4 people, maybe the mentoring is not with you. Maybe someone wants to learn some marketing skills, and you can partner with another small business that you know who has a marketing director, and they can go, your employee can go over and mentor. That's going to benefit both of you. Think about someone who wants to, to be the mentor. Someone wants to be mentored and someone wants to be the mentor. There's lots of different opportunities. Same thing. Where can you have someone job share just a little bit to learn a new skill? Where can you have someone work in a different, with a different team that they might not usually work with? So lots of opportunities to be learning centered. I think the biggest difference I would see in a learning centered culture, I have certainly worked in plenty of organizations that say, oh yes, we love training, go to training, sign up for all these trainings, right? And then the morning comes, it's 8:30, your training's at 10 o'clock, and you look at your calendar and you're like, I have another meeting during that time. Or, I don't know if my boss actually wants me to go. They're kind of in a weird mood today. I should probably just stay here and do my work. And they don't go to training. I mean, I was at an organization that touted training so much, but when it came to the sign-in sheets, less than half the people were showing up. So it called for a serious step back and say, hold on, what is our priority? Is training really important? Then what are the other things we need to put in place so people actually feel like they can go? And not only go, but bring back what they learn and share it with their workplace. Nothing makes me sadder than to see the information, whatever your papers, your little binder from training, walk back, and I've done it, I am guilty too. Walk back to your office and you're like, oh, I'm busy, stuff it on the shelf, right? And then it dies on the shelf. So this learning centered culture, how do you make the learning come to life and be used every day? Customer focused culture. I think this is an easy one for us. We see it the most often. We love it as customers, right? We go into these businesses because we know we're going to leave feeling good. They're going to take care of us. But on the backside, how do you help your employees do this? How do you, again, give them the communication skills to handle someone who might be upset? And probably more importantly, how do you empower them so they know what decisions they can make to solve that person's problems? Nothing makes me crazier than having to tell my story that I'm already upset about 3 times to 3 different people because no one can solve it, right? So in customers focused culture, you see people are empowered, they have the skills to communicate, they know what they can do to solve the problem. So great culture. Innovation-centered culture. Sorry, just checking. Innovation-centered culture. What does this look like behind the scenes? Obviously, and don't think, I know this picture is technology, but don't think, oh, this is only technology. Innovation has a place everywhere. If it's how you reorganize your files, how customers flow in and out of the stores, there's room for innovation everywhere. This might be a faster paced environment. It might be more focused on people's degrees when they come in, or it might be less focused on their degrees because they want entrepreneurs, right? Depends what the business is like. Again, absolutely, just like learning, these cultures need those communication skills to challenge each other. Because if we're working on a project innovating and you say, I know, let's put a 40-watt battery in it. And I'm like, I'm afraid that might start a fire, right? You need those skills to have those conversations and challenge each other and help each other grow. Every single one of these cultures, right? How are you recognizing in this one? Innovation, rewarded. Might be rewarded for failing too, because that is such an important part of innovating. You have to risk, you have to fail so you can learn. So probably your culture is going to be a mix of all these, and that's wonderful, unless there's one that truly speaks to you. The purpose-driven culture, we absolutely see a lot of organizations that fulfill this as well. So think of this as companies working hard to serve the greater good. They want to serve all of their stakeholders, their employees, their customers, the financials, but really make a difference in the world. Really, really focusing on the values that drive them, the lives they touch, the information they share, and really the change that they're going to implement in the community. So this organization might be a little more people focused versus some of the other cultures that might be more task focused. Here, the energy truly comes from the person bringing their authentic self, their passion for making these changes in the world. and in the environment and a sense of belonging. Okay, so maybe that spurred a few little ideas for you. I want you to, we're going to take another minute, think about your mission, your vision, your company's values. And I would like you to just take a minute and think about our ideal culture is, same thing, a sentence, a couple words, whatever is most important to you. Our ideal culture is, I'm going to give you a minute. So if there's a difference between what your culture is now and your ideal culture, I'd like you to think of 2 places that you'd like to start working. So what would 2 of the most impactful changes be? The 2 things that you'd like to start working on. You are welcome to share them, what those 2 things are in the chat if you'd like. If not, no worries. Hopefully I gave you enough time since I can't see any of you. Okay, so we're going to start talking a little bit about how to move the needle from where you are to where you want to be. It might be a few tiny tweaks, which is awesome, or it might be a whole kind of restart for you, and that's fine. We're here to support whatever you need. The first tip I'm going to say is to clarify. It doesn't seem like rocket science, right? But in this crazy world, especially when so many small businesses are in survival mode, it's hard to stop and pay attention to this stuff. So really clarify and do some self-reflection about not only where you want to go, and if that is still the right place for you, right? Has your company evolved? Have the priorities shifted? All of those things happen. But also, what role do you want to play in it? Maybe you are the owner of the organization. Maybe you're not, and you're going to take this and share it with the rest of the management team. So thinking through, where do you want to be? What role do I want to play in this? Do I want to spearhead this, or am I gonna, pass it on to my other manager? When we talk about clarifying, values comes through so strongly for me because they're such an important part of the culture, and sometimes they're hard to see. We're social animals. We want to belong. That's how Maslow's hierarchy, right? That's the top, is that sense of belonging. And so often what unites us is those intangible things we have in common, those values, but we don't always know about them unless we talk about them. And just to be clear, by no means is this saying that your personal values have to match your organization's values exactly. Not going to happen. There's probably going to be some overlap if you're in the right place, but by no means are you going, okay, I have to convince all my employees that these things are important. Not in their personal life. Now at work, that is part of it. Part of bringing your employees on and saying, these are the values of this organization during your onboarding procedures, and helping them understand how those values show up in their day-to-day work, so it applies to them, and how those values, if they're in the right role and if they're at the right organization, they will mean something to them, and they should mean something to them. So I challenge you, if you went to your employees right now, not just your best one, if you went to your employees right now and you said, what are our organization's values? Could they rattle them off? Would they just stare at you? Say, I didn't know we had some? And if they can tell you them, would they be able to say in a thoughtful way how they connect to their job and what they mean to them? It's a great, it's just a great exercise to take the time and work through an exercise with them. And if you haven't done a values exercise in a while, because absolutely some values change as your life continues. I'm single and loving life, got my brand new job, I'm so excited. I might have certain values, have family with 3 kids, might have different values, right? Kind of toward the end of my career, I want to spend time doing different things. I might have some different values, right? Some will be the same, some will be different. But I have found in my life and with the groups that I've done these exercises with, just profound, insights into their life for them to say, because when your values are lined up and you're in touch with them, it's much easier to make decisions, personal and business. To hear people say, oh, I didn't realize that was there. That's why I was struggling with this thing, or, oh, wow, I've been wanting to make this choice, but I didn't have the courage to make it. And now I see it would make me so much happier and I could move forward in this way. So if you'd like to reach out afterwards, I'd be happy to share that values exercise with you. But absolutely, I think a great place to spend some time connecting with your stakeholders. Sounds easy to do, right? So let's think of your stakeholders. Who are they? Got your employees, your customers. What about your suppliers? What about your neighbor, right? If you're sharing walls with somebody. What about, other people in your life? Realize that you have impact on many, many people through the day, right? Your stakeholders are your family, right? They want you to thrive and do well. Your stakeholders are your friends. I bet they could give you a very honest take on what's going well and what's not going well at work. Because a lot of us talk through, right? We need things to talk through, people to talk through things with, or go back, if you're not a talker out louder, go back and look through your journals or whatever you do to process and look at what's going well and what's not. So we talked earlier about, building that culture and what's behind it. So connecting with your stakeholders, what's behind it. If you walk up to your employees today, one of your employees, not your favorite one again, just an average employee, and you say, hey, how you doing? Hey, can you tell me what's good about our culture and what's not so good? And what's the barrier to us moving past that? What kind of reaction are you gonna get? It depends on so many things, right? On the relationship, on what your communication styles and how you and your employee are used to communicating. Hope it'd be amazing if you got an honest answer, right? With all the information that person wants to share. More likely you'll get a, I really like it here. It's awesome. It's so great. But they're not going to tell you the bad stuff because bad stuff can be scary, right? They don't want to upset you or they don't know how to say it. They don't want conflict. So before you go ask people that, unless you have that relationship and that established communication pattern for feedback, before you go ask people that scary question, think about how can I preface it? How can I say, hey, I really care about you all. I really care about this organization and I want us to love working here and I want us to be the best organization we can. Part of that is paying attention to our culture. What does that mean? Blah, 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 blah. What's important to me? Blah, 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 blah. You all are a vital part of this organization, obviously, right? And I want to hear from you. I want to hear the good and the bad. Say that. I want to hear both so that we can be honest with each other and move forward. Now, talk about what that looks like, right? You do not want to complain fest in your face, right in the middle of the meeting. You do not want someone to steal the meeting and just go on a rampage. So think before you talk to them about how am I going to accept information? And that depends on your communication preferences too, obviously, right? Do you want to have it? So obviously some people are going to want to speak face-to-face. Some people will want to email. Some people will want to be anonymous. So what opportunities can you set up for them? But make it fun, make it exciting because it's about your future, right? It's about where you guys can go, and doesn't everyone want to be happier at work and enjoy their lives more? So stay with that. Understand you're not going to solve every problem, right? And you're not going to solve everybody's problem. Okay? Fine line between being caring and empathetic and, taking responsibility for their problems. So understanding how to coach, how to motivate, how to empathize, but not taking responsibility for their problems. They are grown adults, right? That locus of control. I can control this, right? I can influence this next circle, and then not in my control. That's the hard part. I might. Sometimes I want to control things that are, I can only influence or are not in my control. Sometimes my husband has to coach me back, so thank goodness for him. Hopefully you have someone in your life that can help you do that too. Understand too, you know, there's a program that I just love called Emergenetics that if you are around me, I talk about a lot. But it's basically the idea that who you are, how you think, how you behave comes part, it's like nature nurture, comes part from your genetics and comes part from how you were raised. So thinking preferences, you might be data driven, the big picture. You might be super detailed, spreadsheet lover, right? All the little details. Might be very focused on relationships and people. Might be very focused on the conceptual, the brainstorming. Depending on your organization, you may have more or less of the different kinds. We all have some of those, so don't, you're not out of this saying, I have none of that. We all have some of this, but usually one or two are prevalent in how we naturally think. We can all have skills to do whatever we want to do. We can all improve our skills. So making space for those different thinking preferences, being cognizant if I ask the question, like if I sent an email, how is our culture? From one person, I might get back a spreadsheet. From one person, I might get back a page, right? From one person, I might get back, they'll probably stop by the office because they want to talk to me, because they want to like check in on our relationship, and that most of their conversation is going to be about the other relationships. And one might be about ideas, a whole bunch of ideas on how to make it better. Excuse me. To the other part of emergenetics is behavior preferences. So how are you making space for people to give feedback? And okay, so all the way across the spectrum, people who have no problems speaking up and people who are going to process it inside their head and have plenty of good ideas and things to share, but aren't going to share it in that big group. And certainly aren't going to share it with everyone in the office who wants to hear, right? We all have wildly different communication and behavior preferences. So how are you making space for them? There is a communication assessment called DISC, and one of the communication preferences, they recommend that you count a full 7 seconds to give them time to put everything together and how they want to say it. So that would mean in your offices, when you ask a question, in your meetings, when you ask a question, instead of doing what a lot of us do, and I certainly have done, any questions? Okay, great. The only person you're going to get there is the person who's already like, oh, me. To ask a question and leave, I dare you, leave those 7 seconds of silence, which may or may not feel awkward to you, depending again on your preferences, and see what comes out of it. Or again, getting ideas in pairs, right? Putting people together and say, hey, brainstorm together. Then you have a little anonymity. Or get together in groups of 5 and brainstorm. Well, let's go bowling. Let's put things on the wall, right? There's so many different ways to get ideas and process those ideas. So lots of fun stuff. I love it, love it. Okay. Manage the change. We have had so much change in the last 4 months, right? Some of it we implemented, but a lot of it just like happened to us, like crashed on us like a tidal wave, right? So please be intentional about the changes that you want to make. Change management is a whole nother class, right? So be intentional, be specific, think about how you're going to communicate those changes. Obviously, you want all of your employees included and involved in this like recreation or tweaking of your culture. So how are you using them? Who are your influencers in your group? Is there a stakeholder team that you want to own this culture change that you're going to check in with? You know, what's that going to look like? We keep hearing about being honest, being transparent. Absolutely. Super important. That does not mean telling my employees everything that's on my mind, right? That goes back again to just being a good manager. You're not versus being a friend, right? Or confidant. Being a good manager, being open, honest, and transparent about the things that are important to their job and your organization. Managing the change. Change is harder for some people than others, like on a huge spectrum. Even if the change seems good to 99%, there's still going to be someone who, even though the change, like, I'm going to give you some free money. Someone's going to go, I don't really like that. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm afraid of blah, 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 blah. So making sure there's space for all of those opinions and that they're all valued and they have a chance to express that. Managing it, communication, tell them ahead of time as much as you can. Absolutely. Help them understand that the changes are going to change, right? This is the evolution. It's a process. It is not set in stone. If you all try something and it's not working out, like you try a new process, right? It's not working out. It's okay to change it. So where are you taking from the innovation culture, right? Where are you setting up? It's okay to risk and fail. It's okay. We're trying this. We want to be better. It's, do it safely, do it smartly, moving through. So managing the change, how do you, right now, how do you get feedback from your employees? Hopefully, especially now with all this craziness, hopefully it's a one-on-one at least once a week amidst other venues as well. But do they have the feedback, the training that they need to give feedback, to receive feedback effectively? And honest moment again, how do you receive feedback? Do you get a lot of it? If you don't, maybe ask yourself why. And just one little tip for giving good feedback, because that's the easy kind, right? That's what we love to do. Giving the good feedback, be specific. If you have an employee and you say, great job, it'll make them feel good for a minute, right? And that's great. But if you can say, great job for handling that customer's problem, way to go. Something specific gives them a little bit more to hold on to, a little more meat, and helps them know what to repeat the next time. Setting clear expectations. Sounds like such a simple thing to do, and it gets skipped all the time because you go, oh, I know what they should do. Not cognizantly, in your subconscious. I hired this great person, they should know what to do. Doesn't always work like that. Setting clear expectations, it's like a gift for your employee. They know the rules of the game so they can go and succeed. Focus on accountability, empower them. Think about the difference between compliance versus commitment and buy-in. So compliance looks like, I'm standing by the door in my red shirt because she told me I had to, right? Versus commitment, and I'm going to tell everybody I see that this is dumb that I have to stand here and wear this shirt. Versus commitment, which says, I understand, I have buy-in, I understand why I'm standing here on this dot in the red shirt so that the customers can find me and I can help them before they don't have to go wandering around. They know exactly where to find me, and I'm here to help. The difference, so as you're implementing things, right? If you see your employees start to get into that compliance instead of commitment, take a step back because you missed something. You missed some buy-in, some explanation, something we're missing. There's a great feedback formula real quick. I'd love to do a communications class when we are back to normal here. This FBI feedback formula, it's like, I'm a math nerd, okay? So this is a super easy equation. Feelings, behavior, impact. It's, when you have that thing, you're like, I just don't know what I'm gonna say to these people, to this person. Just sit down and just write a sentence. Feelings, I feel this. Behavior, because of this behavior that you did. Please do not say, you always did. You never do the dishes, right? Whatever that is, not gonna help your situation. And what the impact is on my work, on my feelings, whatever that is. You can see an example there. but this is just super simple. Feelings, behavior, impact. It works magic in my experience. So I'm going to say let's see, a massive benefit, all this culture work is going to feed into this thing called employee engagement. And if you have engaged employees, this cycle is going to be just fabulous. This engaged employees, culture building, to that point, culture is an ongoing journey. It is not something you're going to be able to check off your checklist. So just keep that in mind. The culture is always going to need tending. It's always going to need attention, but it should always pay out in dividends that you put that effort in. So employee engagement has been a huge catchphrase the last couple of years, right? You might look at the giant organizations who have ping pong tables and free food, right? But that's not, those are like fun perks, but that's not what it's about. You can have absolutely have engaged employees and have one employee. That's the goal. Everyone is engaged. When we think about employee engagement, it's really the extent to which the employees feel passionate about their work and they're committed to the organization, and helps them decide how to spend their discretionary effort. So we all know you can show up at work and work 8 hours and get nothing done, right? So we're aiming for those engaged employees that come to work, understand how they're connected to the culture, the values, how their work connects to and impacts their coworkers' work, and really come in engaged and just excited to be there and make a difference. So the data from employee engagement comes from a company called Gallup. They have been doing workplace analytics for 30 years. And after all of their research around the world, they have narrowed employee engagement down to a few very specific things. You can see here the effect of positive employee engagement. So these are companies in the top quartile of employee engagement. So if you have engaged employees, lower absentee, less turnover, fewer safety incidents, amazing. Fewer product defects, so costing you less, higher productivity, higher profitability. I don't know anybody that would argue and say, I do not want those things at my organization, right? So how do we get to that engagement? Again, this is going to be like a quick blip through engagement. Just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it grows. So unless we have those basic needs met in the purple there at the bottom, we're not going to get any higher up. And that's what we want. We want people at the very top of that triangle because everything else is fulfilled in their engagement hierarchy. So I'm going to run through. So in all Gallup's research, they've come to 12 questions that as your employee answers these 12 questions, that truly tells you how engaged or not they are. So we're just going to read through so you've seen them once at least, give you a little food for thought. So basic needs. Question 1, I know what is expected of me at work, right? Didn't we just talk about setting expectations? Again, it's so important. It's literally the first thing on Gallup's research, the most important question. If they don't know what's expected of them at work, they're not going to be moving on up. Question 2, I have the materials and equipment I need to do my work right. So if you have someone, right, the poor person going, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing today. My computer's not working, right? I don't want to be that person. And I would be very upset if I was the person managing that person. So very basics. Question 3, at work, I have the opportunity to do what I do best every day. Might be a good idea to go ask your employee, what's the best part of yourself that you bring to this job? I bet it'd give you some great insight. Question 4, in the last 7 days, I have received recognition or praise for doing good work. Think, who's the one person on your team that you haven't checked in with lately? Maybe they might need a little encouragement from you. Question 5, my supervisor or someone at work seems to care about me as a person. Question 6, there is someone at work who encourages my development. So notice in 5 and 6 both, it's not all in the supervisor by any means. This is also about creating a team, a community, a culture where we care about each other, and we have that ability. Even though I'm not their manager, I can ask them, hey, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to improve your skills? I know that you love doing this, or I know you want to get ahead in your career. Have you looked at what's out there, right? How can all of your employees work together and encourage each other? Question 7, at work, my opinion seems to count. So going back again, how is feedback established in your organization? What's the comfort level? What's the transparency? If someone gives their opinion or brings a problem, how do they see that it's being considered or acted upon? And do they get an answer at the end? Nothing makes me crazier than the, well, I emailed them a month ago suggesting this thing that seems super simple for me to fix, and I haven't heard anything, right? Close the loop, close the loop. Question 8, the mission or purpose of my company makes me feel my job is important. Again, connecting with your employees. Do they know what your mission is, your purpose, your values? Are they connected to it? My associates or fellow employees are committed to doing quality work. Question 10, I have a best friend at work. It's usually the one that catches people off guard. Again, 30 years of data. So where are you setting up? Like, we are at work to be productive and get things done, but that's not the end all. Where are you setting time for your employees to connect? Because they need each other's support. And as you can see, it comes through in so many different venues. Question 11, in the last 6 months, someone at work has talked to me about my progress. Have those one-on-ones. The more often you have them, the easier it gets. Nothing worse than waiting a whole year to find out how you're doing at your job. And then it's terrifying, even if you think you're doing well. Still terrifying. Please check in often. And it can be 10 minutes. It's not an hour check-in every week. It can be 10 minutes. Question 12, this last year I've had opportunities at work to learn and grow. So that's, again, all of their other needs have been fulfilled, and now we're at this place where we're on the learning and growing focused because everything else has been fulfilled. So that's the Q12 in 4 minutes or less. Lots to dig into, obviously. The Gallup Insights, employee satisfaction is not enough. And what that means, employee satisfaction is what I'm getting. I get money, I get perks, I'm satisfied or not. But that doesn't mean that I do a really, really good job for my organization. Employee engagement is what that next level is. Engagement surpasses workplace incentives. Different employees need different engagement strategies. How do you know what's important to your employees? You probably, at some point, need to ask them. How do you know, if you don't know your employees, what's the word? If you don't know what would make your employee quit tomorrow, no matter how much they love the job, you should ask them. Like, if I took away your ability to work from home, if I cut your pay by 25%, whatever that is, if I made you clean toilets, I don't know, whatever that is, but ask them, what's the most important thing to you? What do you love the most about this job? Just check in with them and ask some of those questions. And once you set the scene for those conversations, your employee will feel comfortable telling you more of those things. An organization's greatest asset is its people, but when they're fully engaged, oh my gosh, unbelievable. Employers must win the hearts and minds of its employees. No big deal, right? No problem. So with that, I appreciate all of your time and attention. I am here to help. This is no small list of things to do, right? Just a little glimpse into the possibilities. I'd love to hear any questions, how I can be of greater assistance to you. So much good work you guys are doing. I'm so excited for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. And at this point, everybody feel free to turn your videos and your mics on if you have any questions for Kim. Anyone? Oh, did I wait the 7 seconds? Done.
I'm getting better at it. I only had to count for like the first year.
And Kim, it looks like, would we be able to email the slides out to everybody?
Sure.
Perfect. I will take care of that.
Any additional tips for keeping the team in a positive mindset right now? I think some of it is just starting from a place of honesty and going, hey, things are hard. Like, we are where we're at, right? So let's do what we can to support you, and just calling it out. What can we do to keep each other in good spirits? Because it's different for everybody, right? I might be like, I have to go for a walk. And if I don't go for a walk every day, Sarah, please come get me and make me go for a walk, right? So just checking in with people. Different appreciation. If you don't know what your employee likes as a reward, ask them one more of those questions, but maybe not all at the same time. Do they like a handwritten letter? Would they love to like be brought up in front of the whole work group and be like, Sarah did this awesome thing and we're so proud of her? Or would Sarah be like, I hate you. I can't believe you did that to me. Like, I trusted you. Why would you make me stand in front of them? Right? Handwritten letter. They'd like extra time off. They'd like a little raise. They'd like a flower. What makes your employee feel good? You know, there's lots of just could do fun activities, go for a little walk, just play a silly game. I don't know, make up an office bingo, like a office crossword with goofy things. Find your conceptual person and ask them, what silly things you're in charge, or better yet, find someone in your office and just say, does anyone want to be in charge of like doing one silly thing a week for us and just get the spirits up? And if you don't have anyone, then call me. Excuse me.
Awesome.
Thank you, Kara. There's also a wonderful, I'm gonna put it in the chat. There's a wonderful TED Talk that I used to show at orientation at one of the companies that I worked for called The Happiness Advantage. It's a guy from Harvard. Advantage. It's about 12 minutes long. So because I was doing for orientation, I'd listen to it every Monday. And I was like the happiest I was in my life. I'm like, oh, I got it, happiness advantage, because like that repetition. Oh yeah, okay, pay attention to these things, let these other things go. Love that TED Talk, The Happiness Advantage. So maybe a fun little thing to do over lunch or before your staff meeting. The Gallup slides. Yep, I'll be happy to email those out.
Perfect. Well, thank you everybody for being on with us today. Again, Kim is the owner of Steamboat HR Solutions. So you can find her website. She's also a chamber member. She's on our site. So if you need HR help, Kim is your lady. We had a great retreat with her and we just can't say enough good things about her. So thank you, Kim, for being with us today. Thank you everybody for taking the time. Just want to remind everybody about our COVID resources on our website. We now have some traveler resources up there. So we're changing that daily. And if there is anything we could do to be supporting you during this time, please reach out to us as well.
Thank you so much, Sarah and Kara, for all your hard work at the Chamber. We appreciate it. I'm so excited to see you all around town. I'm not used to talking so much. Can't wait to hear all from all of you.
Thank you, Kim.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.